Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and above all else that you are looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to part two of Viva Italia. We are looking at my list of 10 favorite Italian prog albums. Now, in part one, I give you numbers 10 through 6. And in part two, I'm going to go from numbers 5 to 1. Now, as I said in part one from the previous episode, I am not an expert on Italian prog music. I just started listening to uh, the genre about 3 years ago. I have some albums, I don't have a lot. Um, I do feel that I have to be in a certain mood also at times to listen to it. I do like it. But I just wanted to give you my list of albums that I enjoy listening to. And I don't have all these albums. I've streamed a good amount of them, but I have one or two of them, actually, maybe three of them, actually. But no, I wanted to give you this list, and hopefully you'll, like me, you'll discover brand new artists and music that you like to listen to. And again, it's got to be said too, the fact that it's done in a foreign language like Italian. I mean, I am of Italian heritage and I can speak my dialect, the dialect that my parents were brought up with. They brought us up with from the village they came from in Italy. But to listen to it singing in a singing form constantly uh, can be a bit, I guess, taxing for some people. But I'm going to give you my list here. And this is quite the list to end off part two of this set of episodes. Coming in at number 5, we have a group called Arti e Mestieri and their 1974 release, Tilt. Now, out of all the releases on this list, this album to me was going to start out like at number 9. But the more I listened to it, I liked it. So I bumped it up the list. To me, it's got more of a jazz fusion kind of a feel to it. And a good amount of the tracks on the album, I do believe there are 9 tracks on this album, are instrumental, right? So in my notes, I have here a lot of the um, tracks. The first one in particular, Gravita 981, starts off as a frenetic start, tight arrangement, nice use of violin, use of flugelhorn and violin too. A lot of use of flugelhorn on these tracks. Has a jazz fusion feel, as I said in my notes here, and strong bass on this piece. The next track is called Strips, which is it's odd that they would, have something spelt in English. In my notes, I have a nice mellotron, great acoustic guitar, and has soothing vocals on this track. There are a couple of tracks that are a minute and change, like a minute 37 seconds, where you have good use of clarinet that comes in on the and mellotron. And a lot of the tempos are mid-tempo. Okay. Um, but it's great. It's great. Other tracks have great, short acoustic guitar chords, uh, nice use of violin and use of vibraphone um, on these tracks. Just great. A lot of organic instrumentation. Okay. Again, this was 1974. So programming instrumentation was not even in the cards for another, like, you know, like 5, 6 years, right? But it's this album is fantastic. Uh, one another track of note is called In Camino. 5 minutes and 36 seconds. In my notes, I have your great relaxed clarinet. It does have incidental vocals. It is very sort of woodwind driven, like clarinet driven. There are tempo changes, and it does have a jazz fusion feel. And in my notes, I have you also a nice twinning of melody line between the violin and the clarinet. Violin is all over this album. and which for me is a bit of a different change, right? I mean, when you hear like an artist from a different language. But it's fantastic. It is simply fantastic. Um, so as I look down the list, yeah, this whole album is great. The final track, the title track, Tilt, is more of an experimentation. In my notes, I have your synth blips, washes of synths and mellotron and violin. It's very much an experimental piece. The track before that um, is a track that comes in at like 13 minutes and 24 seconds, and I won't even try um, to pronounce it. It's very difficult to pronounce, but it's very grand, very dramatic introduction. It slowly builds up with cymbal crashes, nice violin and nice use of violin, sorry. Uh, Tempo and time signature changes. Good use of mellotron, and there's like a wall of woodwind instruments that come in, like sax, etc. Very dramatic uh, change ups on this track too. So you have I was going to say sections, tracks on this album for Tilt that are shorter in length, like a minute and 15 seconds, and then you have longer conceptual IP pieces like at 13 minutes and 24 seconds. Great album, very uh, jazz fusion influenced album. I think more people should pick up on it. Um, Next one on the list is a band that they are Premiata Formeria Marconi, otherwise known as PFM. Uh, the album that we're going to be talking about today is Per un Amico from 1972, For a Friend. Great, great album. Beautiful album, seven cuts in total. The lead off track, Appena un po'. Great atmospheric synths, acoustic guitar and flute, grand arrangement, very epic and very, very broad in scale. Fantastic, intricate work like on this album, intricate guitar and drum patterns on tracks, heavy rhythm guitars, piano runs on certain tracks, nice thick guitar tones on the album, sorry. Just beautiful, beautiful. The title track, Por un Amico, um, in my notes, I have a beautiful flute, dramatic piano chords, nice string arrangements, multi sections again, like go from one passage to the next, very different time signatures, different arrangements. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Um, it is one of the more, I would say, more accessible albums with from on this list in terms of being Italian prog. But PFM are quite well known, and they're great. They're just fantastic. That's PFM at number four. And as I go down my list here, coming in at number three, we have a band called Latte e Miele, meaning milk and honey, with their 1973 release, Papillon or Papillon. Again, released in 1973, again through Polydor Records. It's separated into two suites. The Papillion suite clocks in at 19 minutes and 49 seconds. Seven sections to this piece. You have the Papillion Overture. You have the the first section, second section, third section, fourth section, fifth section, sixth section, and then seventh section. But basically, it's the album starts off with the overture on side one, and it starts off with a rapid fire organ on the intro, use of beautiful mellotron and flugelhorn, a very multi-section piece. And there's also a recurring guitar passage, a recurring acoustic guitar passage, which is beautiful and it with a great melody. and it's basically recounting the story of Papillion, and it's fantastic, fantastic, and it takes up all of side one, and side one ends off with a short track called Divertimento, uh, and what that means is Divertimento means in English just a short little chamber piece of music to sort of just carry it along that ends off side one. And side two, there is another four-piece section that comes in, which is fantastic. That's number three. Coming in at number two is a band called Banco de Mucho Socorso. And they've been around since the early 70s. The album that we're going to be focusing on is just labeled under Banco. They shortened the name to Banco, and it's called Di Terra, released in 1978. And Di Terra means of earth or from the earth. Um, and this is an entirely instrumental album. It's very grand, very epic in its arrangement. There are eight pieces on this album. And it's basically telling you instrumentally the story of war and conquering in terms of going to war and the, how can I put this? The consequences of war. Just beautifully done. Just beautifully done. Very beautifully executed. And it is just epic in scope, epic in presentation, but again, accessible nonetheless. A lot of use of choral vocals and sax and symphonic pieces, uses of timpani on the percussion side. Just great, just great. That's number two. Coming in at number one, we have a band called Le Orme and their 1973 release, Filona e Serona. Now, before I get into this, um, I had to sort of fade out the graphic for the album cover because of the censors, etc. I didn't want to be accused of posting something that was quite, I guess, uh, hmm, objectionable. You know what I mean? But I got to say that the sound on this album is simply fantastic. The drum sound on this album is great. Okay, it is fan bloody tastic. And in my notes I have here for all the tracks, they range in length from like a minute 59 seconds to something like 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Very tight synth drum arrangements on this track, on the opening track, sorry. Very grand and very epic. Good organ use in this track. Um, the next track, Filona, which is part of the title, track two, in my notes I have here use of tubular bells, use of acoustic guitars, great flute on this piece, and they all segue into one another. And this album, it's got to be said for me, it does take you through kind of like to me, it does come across as a concept album. So you have a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and it is fan bloody tastic. There's a lot of drama on this album in terms of dramatic music stabs, and in terms of the arrangements and stuff. It is simply beautiful. Another track of note is the second part of the title, Serona, which comes in at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And in my notes, I have your really calm guitar and synth passages. Just beautifully done. It's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And it is simply put, very beautiful. Very beautiful. Um, you know, this whole album, there's a there's a very organic feel to this album, and the production, in my opinion, is very stunning in terms of the drum parts and the overall engineering on this album. It's very grand, very epic, very clear sound. Some drums or some of the productions on the drums included on these albums can come across as very muddy, but for Filona and Sonoma for the album, for this one, it is simply fantastic, right? Again, it's you know these albums you can stream on YouTube. You can get them on Discogs at a good price, depending where you are. You might have to pay in terms of where you are, like some taxes and stuff in terms of the currency exchange. But there you have it, guys. Part two of Viva Italia. 10 Italian progressive rock albums that you may have known of, may not have known of. And if you have, please put down in the notes down there what you think of these albums. Again, some of them are still in print. Some of them you'd have to go to Discogs to get like a obviously a used copy. Um, but they're still worth investing and looking into. And before you do get these albums or make the purchases, please check them out on YouTube. And again, let me know what you think of these albums. And I'm sorry if I butchered up some of the wording on these titles. Um, I was gonna say I'm not an expert on Italian progressive rock. I'm a newbie to it. I do like it. I do find a lot of the albums are symphonic in nature in terms of the arrangements, and again, dripping with mellotron, just like wall to wall. Okay. And if you like that kind of stuff, and if you can get past the point that it is in a different language, I've been told or I've heard someone say once that of all the foreign languages in terms of singing, Italian, and I think French would be another one that is the easiest language to get used to in terms of hearing something performed in a foreign language. So if you like any of these albums, please check them out and let me know down in the comments uh, what you think of these albums. So that's it for now. I will be back soon with more episodes with Jim Bricker, Ken Cheshire, and uh, Bill Schuster. He's coming back. We're going to be doing our Miles Davis top 5 albums. We're working on our list for that. That's coming up very soon. So please stay tuned for that. I have more ideas cooking up there in my head, and I will bring them to you as soon as I can. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. All right, and that's it for now. Please look after yourselves and one another. And alla prossima. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.